Today is day 6 in Mercy Creek, and the lesson comes from Galatians 6. Paul wrote, "If someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. Restore gently, not ignore it, not excuse it, not shame them until there is nothing left. Restore gently." Then Paul says, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." Now, that's a different kind of mercy. It's not soft on truth, it is soft toward the wounded soul. And on Tuesday morning in Mercy Creek, the town was about to learn that serving with a towel was one thing, restoring someone gently was another. The towel from Monday night was still folded over the chair in the church basement. Pastor Caleb had left it there. Grace Bennett had offered to wash it, but Ruth Caldwell stopped her. "Not yet," Ruth said. "Some lessons need to stay where people can see them." So it stayed. A plain towel, folded over a metal chair, still holding the memory of Jesus kneeling on the wet floor while everyone else learned what greatness looked like. By Tuesday morning, the basement was dry enough to smell like old carpet again. Grace brought leftover biscuits from the diner. Nora Reyes came by after her shift from the clinic while Mateo was still rubbing sleep from his eyes. Deputy Thomas Reed carried in a box of bottled water. Hank Miller showed up with a tool bag and said the storage shelves were crooked. Sam came behind him carrying coffee. Hank took one cup without saying thank you, but he took it, and in Mercy Creek, that counted as progress. Eli Harper came last. He stopped at the bottom of the stairs, hands in his hoodie pocket, looking at the room like he still expected it to reject him. Lily saw him first. "You're late," she said. Eli looked at the clock. "Only by 4 minutes. That is still late. You the boss now?" Lily pointed to the pantry shelves. "I am in charge of labels." Eli almost smiled. Big promotion. He walked toward the pantry. Then he stopped. There was a note taped to the door. One sheet of white paper, block letters. "This church is not a place for troublemakers. Some people should be watched, not welcomed." Eli stared at it. The room seemed to shrink around him. Lily came up beside him. Her face changed. "Eli," she whispered, but he had already pulled the note off the door. Pastor Caleb saw it from across the room. "Eli, wait." Eli crumpled it in his fist. "I knew it." Grace moved toward him. "Sweetheart, let us see it." "I said I knew it." His voice was quiet, but it had a hard edge. Nora stepped closer. Mateo tucked behind her leg. Deputy Reed looked uncomfortable. Hank's face tightened. Sam looked down. Ruth closed her eyes. And Jesus was already standing near the towel. No one had seen him come in. He looked at Eli, then at the crumpled paper in his hand. "May I see it?" Eli shook his head. "It does not matter." Jesus said gently, "It mattered enough to hurt you." That stopped him. Slowly, Eli handed him the note. Jesus opened it. He read it once. Then he folded it carefully, as if even an ugly thing should not be handled carelessly. Pastor Caleb's voice was low. Who wrote that? Nobody answered, but everybody thought of someone. That is one of the dangerous things about judgment. It starts making guesses before truth arrives. Miss Pritchard came down the stairs a few minutes later with a tray of muffins from the pharmacy break room. She stopped when she saw everyone looking at her. What? Deputy Reed pointed at the note. Miss Pritchard, did you write this? Her face went pale, then stiff. I wrote what needed to be said. Grayson hailed sharply. Eli laughed under his breath. There it is. Miss Pritchard looked at him. Young man, some of us remember broken windows, police calls, and the way people lock their doors when you walk by. Eli's face went red. Hank stepped forward. Enough. Miss Pritchard turned on him. Don't you start acting holy, Hank Miller. This town has watched you carry anger like a badge for years. The room went silent. Hank looked like he had been hit. Sam took one step toward him, then stopped. Pastor Caleb said, Miss Pritchard, but she was already crying. I am tired, she said. I am tired of pretending people do not scare me. I am tired of acting like every person is just misunderstood. I am tired of this town making room for trouble and calling it mercy. Nobody spoke, because she was wrong and also afraid. And fear can make people cruel while they think they are being careful. Jesus walked to the center of the basement. He held the note in one hand. Then he looked around the room. Yesterday, he said softly, you learned to bend low with a towel. His eyes moved from face to face. Today, you must learn what to do when someone hurts someone else. Miss Pritchard wiped her cheeks. Jesus looked at Eli. This note was wrong. Eli swallowed. Jesus looked at Miss Pritchard. Fear does not give love permission to wound. She lowered her head. Then Jesus looked at the room. But if you now make her the person everyone is allowed to shame, you have only moved the stone from one hand to another. Well, that landed hard. Deputy Reed looked at the floor. Grace put her hand on Lily's shoulder. Hank breathed out slowly. Jesus continued. Restore gently does not mean pretend gently. He held up the note. This must be named. Then he lowered it. But restoration is not the same as public punishment. Miss Pritchard's shoulders shook. I was trying to protect the church. Jesus said, my Father's house is not protected by fear. She covered her mouth. Jesus stepped closer to her, not harshly, but truthfully. You owe him an apology. Miss Pritchard looked at Eli. He would not look back. I am sorry, she said. Eli stared at the pantry door. That sounded like church sorry. Grace closed her eyes. Pastor Caleb almost stepped in, but Jesus lifted one hand gently. Miss Pritchard nodded, tears running down her face. You are right. She took a breath. I wrote that because I was afraid of you, and because I thought I already knew who you were. I hurt you on purpose, and then I called it protecting people. Eli's jaw moved. Don't know what to do with that. Jesus said, "You do not have to know today." Eli looked at him. Jesus said, "Forgiveness can begin before trust knows how to stand." That sentence settled in the room like rain after dust. Ruth walked to the pantry door and removed the last piece of tape. Then she picked up a fresh sheet of paper from the table. "What should the sign say?" she asked. No one answered at first. Then Lily raised her hand. "It should say, 'People are not labels.'" Eli looked at her. "That is kind of cheesy." Lily shrugged. "You can write a better one then?" He took the marker. For a long moment, Eli just stood there. Then he wrote, "If you need food, ask. If you need help, ask. If you're afraid to ask, come anyway." Pastor Caleb read it and wiped his eyes. Nora whispered, "That one." So they taped it to the pantry door. This time Eli held the tape. Miss Pritchard stayed near the back of the room, not pushed out, not excused, just quiet. A little later she began picking up chairs. Hank saw her struggling with one and walked over. For a second, he looked like he did not want to help. Then he took the other side. Miss Pritchard looked surprised. "Thank you." Hank nodded. "I know what it's like to say something because the hurt gets there first." Sam heard that from across the room. He did not say anything, but he heard it. By afternoon, the church basement felt different again. Not happier, deeper. Because Mercy Creek had learned that mercy is not only for the person everyone already feels sorry for. Mercy is also for the person who spoke wrong, the person who judged too fast, the person who acted out of fear, the person who had to face what was ugly inside them. And well, that became the lesson of day 6. Jesus does not call us to ignore sin. He calls us to restore gently, to tell the truth without trying to destroy, to correct without crushing, to protect without becoming cruel, to carry each other's burdens, even when one of those burdens is the shame of being wrong. Maybe today, Jesus is asking us to look at the note we have written in our own hearts, the label, the suspicion, the sentence we already passed on someone, the fear we dressed up as wisdom, the hurt we turned into judgment. And maybe he is asking us to take it down, not because truth does not matter, but because people matter too. Tomorrow is day 7, and Mercy Creek will face the final lesson of the week. Because after hunger, storms, towels, hard truth, and gentle restoration, the town will have to learn what it means to keep walking in the way of Jesus when he is no longer standing where they can see him. Can't wait till I see you tomorrow, friends. Have a beautiful day. My name is Douglas Vandergraph, and I believe in Jesus Christ. God bless every single one of you. Every single one. See you tomorrow.